So let's start here, a little off script, but if you watch 60 Minutes yesterday, they had a segment on Novo Nordic. And so people that are not familiar, Novo is the company that produces Ozempic.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And they're from Denmark. They're a Denmark company. So it talked about how the success of really Ozempic has skyrocketed the stock. And if you look at it like 10 years, it went from $20 to $110. Mm-hmm. But really, it exploded like a couple years ago, like in 2020. That's when it really started to take off. So it's been on a tear, and it was saying how that really changed the whole direction for the country.
Mm-hmm.
It saved Denmark from being in a recession,
mm-hmm.
and it also now Novo their market cap is bigger than the GDP of Denmark.
The entire country.
You know, if you look at it from that standpoint, America's obesity problem saved an entire country. But it also
That's a great way to put it.
And you're saying America specifically because if you look at the customer base of where this drug is being used, it is. So you're not just saying that out of nowhere. 1% of the customer base comes from Denmark. 1%, even less than 1%.
And it also, but they said, like, you know, from a stock standpoint, it's a little tricky because at one point in time, it was a similar situation with Finland, Nokia. So at one point in time, Nokia controlled like the smartphone market.
Yes.
Nokia had it on lock, right? And then a thing called iPhone came out and
crushed the building.
Nokia is no more, but Nokia had a similar situation with, I think they're from Finland, where they saved the economy for Finland, all the jobs. They was, you know, and then once iPhone came out, it just, so they're saying that could potentially be a risk for Novo in the same way, where it's like, you know, when you're that dependent on one product, if, you know, an American company comes out with Ozempic 2.0, and that stock is going to fall apart. So how do we feel about Novo stock?
The difference between Novo and Nokia is that even though there's a lot of money that goes into healthcare, there isn't as much innovation that happens as quickly. So even though Eli Lilly's in the space, you're not going to see Pfizer come out with a drug to beat Ozempic in the next 2 years. Pfizer, I know I've been critical of Apple, but Apple's still a great company. I don't know how Pfizer has dropped the ball while healthcare has been on a tech-like run. Also, number two, I've told everybody in Stock Club, and I'll share this here. You want to invest in the companies that are going to move the GDP for the country. Put yes in chat, Red Panda, if I've told you that prior to. So when we're looking at an eighth best company, like, no, what's on a table? We talk about cap tables frequently. What's going to move the GDP and what's on the cap table to move things forward for the country? Novo is one of those ones, and they innovated at a time when everyone was trying to come out with weight loss drugs that were not working. They've done incredibly well. Will they have some competition? Yes. But for the next 2 or 3 years, I think they'll absolutely have a great run.
Yeah, I like the 2 or 3 years for sure. And I think they have innovated, right? When we talk about Ozempic, we know it as a weight loss drug. It obviously started as a treatment for diabetes. And so inside of that, one of the symptoms was weight loss. And so they created another product called Wegovy. And that specifically is just for weight loss. And so you have two products. You have two products on out there. Obviously, Lilly has created Zepbound, but that was as a result of what they saw. I mean, it's just an interesting thing because having a company have a larger market cap than the GDP of the country it's actually founded in is I don't know how many times that has happened, but what it does, it affects is the economics of the country, right? So now when we're talking about property taxes and all these things that you're not even thinking of from the position of one country, but it begs the question, like you said, is it too big to fail, and what happens if it does? I think they have a 5-year head start to create more innovation.
I agree.
And listening to their CEO talk last night, the humility he spoke with, Even if you looked at his office, and it was a great piece. Like,
and not to cut you off, but that's an amazing sign in this era when many CEOs want to be front facing. That's probably number one under character for a CEO or founder.
You know who's in position to take over this whole entire thing.
Let me just finish this point though. When I saw him work in a workspace with the employees, it was like, I'm one of you, we're all in it together. But then again, his compensation is $10 million. You're talking about a company, and we just talked about the ascension of the stock. He's the founder of it. To take a $10 million compensation, that again, it's all hands on deck to this day, and that is the type of leader you want to see inside of your company.
So Ozempic, the thing that Ozempic does is it curbs your appetite, right? And I've heard this from this girl was telling me about it, and she was like, how she explained it to me, she was like, it's like being pregnant. You're always hungry, but as soon as you eat, you feel like you want to throw up, so you don't want to eat, right? That's interesting.
On Ozempic?
Yeah.
Okay.
So you eat less. Long story short, and that's been a thing. Even remember before when they was doing the gastro bypass surgery, that was to shorten your stomach to make you eat less. So where does the urge to eat come from?
That's a great question. I like the rabbit hole we're about to go down. It's a biological response, but are food companies in America triggering it to happen more often than it should?
Potentially, for sure. But it comes from your brain, right?
Yep.
So, okay. Now, what if you could put a chip inside your brain?
Go ahead. You cooking. You hit a 3 from half court. Go ahead.
What if you could put a chip inside your brain that rewires your whole entire appetite? Those things that were junk food are no longer appealing to you anymore. And now you crave fruits and vegetables, and you only want to eat one time a day, right? Well, may sound far-fetched, but there's a company called Neuralink that actually just talks about they're going to repair sight for the blind for the first time in human history.
I think their rival did it already. Neuralink's rival actually has it founded that they did it for the first time. Somebody restored their sight, which is we're here.
Whatever founder did that, make sure you don't be on the plane when Elon can shoot them rockets at you like Tony Stark.
So I mean, all right. So you're gonna make people walk that can't walk. You're gonna make people see that can't see. Making people curb their appetite, that seems like an easy task. That's low hanging fruit. So I say that to say I don't know if that's gonna happen or not, but Novo doesn't seem like a company that's too big to fail. They seem like a company that when there's bigger companies out there that they
with more resources.
For sure. So they're first to the party. But like Apple proved, sometimes it's not about who's first, it's about who has more resources, bigger marketing.
Yeah. Who can do better. So
I would just be cautious for investors. If you are only investing for one particular drug, that might, how long would that drug actually be on top? That's the question that you have to ask yourself.
Yeah. How long will Ozempic will be there for diabetics and weight loss, and then Wegovy specifically for weight loss. So we'll see how prominent it is, because like you said, if it curbs appetite, and they start to see it in some places, companies like Dunkin' Donuts, companies like McDonald's, right? Like
Starbucks.
Like people are going to make different choices, right? If they're only suppressing the appetite, then no longer are they going to order from fast food at the same rate that they used to. So those companies would be interesting to watch over the next 5 to 10 years if we see the trajectory of Novo and Lilly continue to go up because of weight loss drugs. There'll be an inverse effect on the other side.
If I was Dr. Miami, I'd be terrified if the MAGA chip replaced my whole business model. I'm not gonna lie. What? You get the chip in for $2,500 and no recovery house?
Gotta do it.
Gotta do it. Once again, everybody's your competition. Be careful.
There's a Dr. Miami. Okay, I got you.
It's like Limitless. It's like the real life Limitless.